So last week I finally pulled Future Ant-Man from the featured 6-star crystal, who was the champ I wanted the most. So now I have all the featured champs and Wolverine, and it only took me 35 crystals, which is pretty good I must say. Usually takes me about 50 just to get them all, and I also managed to dupe 3 of them, so I was pretty thrilled about the luck overall. I didn't have any class gems, but I did have 9 generics at the time, so I had no problem awakening any of them. And most of them are rank 3. I wasn't sure who to rank for first just yet, and I did think it was going to be Future Ant-Man, but I thought I'd just wait for Alliance War to give me a need. And yeah, that just happened pretty naturally because he is pretty good, especially with the armor burn tactic. So I took him to rank 4 and then dumped 199 stones into him just for that Incinerate duration reduction. So I can also take some hazard shift mini bosses with him. So today we are running part 6 with Future Ant-Man and Hulkling. I'm also bringing Odin, but he is just for pre-fights to make hazard shift even easier. And I actually forgot to apply my pre-fights on the first fight. I only realized after taking this kitty, who has combat deja vu, prowess, and spiked armor, so a very good matchup for Future Ant-Man, especially with the armor burn tactic, being able to remove those prowesses. Just makes the fight almost a nothing fight really. You take a little bit of damage back from spiked armor when you do crit, but I mean it's not really an issue. So yeah, basically I'm just ramping up the armor buffs by punishing a heavy attack, and of course if she glances I'll also get an armor buff. And once I have at least 6, that's when we activate Surging Swarm and the fight is very much under control. She becomes a lot more aggressive, we get a nice attack increase, and the power detonate now expires a lot faster, so I can do a lot more damage and control her power even more effectively. So all I had to do is just drop my special 2 while it's up. And zip, she just disappears. So a very straightforward fight with Future Ant-Man. Moving on now to node 19, Even Flow Knockdown, Aggression Prowess, and right back at it. We have Baron Zemo, another champ that Future Ant-Man generally works well for. Thanks to the power control, you don't have to bait as many special attacks, and he doesn't rely on debuffs, so there's nothing to cleanse as long as you don't throw a special 1. Which is really not needed for damage anyway, especially for these health pools. When you're boosted, straight to special 2 is pretty much always the way to go. So this fight is going to be very similar to the previous one. I'm just going to be baiting this heavy attack and punishing, which is very easy to do once Surging Swarm is up. He just wants to drop that heavy attack instead of doing full combos. The only difference in this fight is I do want to knock him down ideally before my special 2. So I am going to parry or reparry heavy for the knockdown to remove protection, get the passive fury, and then rush in and drop a special 2. The first hit landed before the power detonate came back, but I am running some tech power boosts, so I get a decent amount of power back and was able to drop my next special 2 before the fury passive expired. So not bad at all. And next up we have a Kingpin on hazard shift, Incinerate shock, aggression prowess, and insult to injury. So another great matchup for Future Ant-Man, especially with the Odin shock pre-fight because he already has some built-in Incinerate resistance. And once again, I do not need to debuff him at all, not even to parry stun, just bait the heavy attack and punish. It also becomes pretty easy to bait special 1 with him being so aggressive. And if you really want to ramp up faster, you can just do a bunch of intercepts first, because that is the fastest way to get more armor buffs. But it's really not needed and can add a bit more risk to the fight, so yeah, just punishing heavy attacks and having blocked hits glance is usually good enough to get to Raging Swarm in 10 to 20 seconds. And yeah, building up to that special 2 in the meantime as well. So yeah, the game plan for Future Ant-Man is very straightforward. You generally just want to bait heavies, punish, and spam your special 2. You could use the special 1 first to place some Disintegrate debuff so your special 2 does a lot more damage, but for these type of health pools it's usually unnecessary, and obviously skill champs like Kingpin can just purify it, so I usually only use it when I need more power control in the fight. It can be quite useful as an emergency power drain, especially with how he can throw a special 1 with 2 bars of power. But for a fight like this, there's very little power gain from the prowesses that get removed quite promptly. And he was quite aggressive, so Kingpin was never close to getting to 2 bars of power, so a very comfortable fight for Future Ant-Man. I lost about 16% health, well I actually lost more in total, but I was constantly healing throughout the fight thanks to the Odin pre-fights, reducing the shock debuff potency, so I was healing with willpower there, and his Sig ability giving you self-repair buffs whenever the Incinerates expire. So now moving on to section 2, still on part 6, we have one more fight with him, which is gonna be a Storm with Prowess pulled up Unblockable, superior specials, and return policy. So at this stage of the war, I just have a few fights left and they're all pretty easy, and I'm feeling very comfortable and confident with future Ant-Man. So I decide to go in with the Intercepts, just to ramp him up a bit faster. So it just takes me a few seconds to activate Surging Swarm, and then I start doing the heavy baiting playstyle. So once again, just pull up to the special 2, and I have class advantage. It's not a mini boss, Storm doesn't have that much health. So one special 2 will be enough to take her out. And yep, she goes down in just 26 seconds. So not bad for the fight time, and it could have been a bit faster if I use an advanced power boost, like I did here. So now we have a Peni Parker with Prowess build up Unblockable, Passively Special, and Hard Knock Life. A bunch of nodes that don't really matter because I'm only gonna parry once during this fight and then no more blocking. And then drop a half unblockable combo before I can start spamming special 2s. I had no crits from the special 2s, yet I was still getting plenty of power back. And she doesn't get to throw a special attack in this fight. So that was quite a fun one with Hulkling, and now moving on, we have one more with him, which is gonna be an Doom, infamous Iron Man with Even Flow Intercept, Mighty Charge, and Crumbling Armor. So this is a rank 5, a bit tankier than Peni, but it should still work the same, because I had so much overkill towards the end of the Peni fight. I just need to make sure I intercept before I start my special 2 loop. So I drop the heavy attack, place the Intimidate to make it easier to hit the block before I go for the intercept. So now I'm unblockable, so I get 2 fury buffs. I drop the special 2, good damage, getting plenty of power back so I can keep cycling it. But unfortunately the fury passive expired and protection came back just before my second last hit of the third special 2, which might have taken him out. If not, that last hit definitely would have taken him out. So now I gotta deal with this regen special lock phase, and he does drop a special 1 after a special 2. So I just punish, go for the backdraft intercept, think I'm gonna finish him off now, forgetting that he still has his aura so he can resist my last hit. So yeah, the fight kind of dragged on slightly longer than I would have liked. Not the most satisfying finish like in the Peni fight, but still not too bad for Hulkling. So yeah, a pretty fun war for me. It's been a while since I've done part 6 and not brought negative to war, but that's gonna be it for this one. Hope you found it interesting, and as always, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.